Hi students, welcome to chapter 4. In this chapter we're going to be looking at the situational and competitive analysis aspects of retailing. So, company analysis. What's our company doing from a mission perspective? From a vision perspective, where are we going? What are our sales and profit figures? What's our risk position? If we're doing something that is risky, maybe going into an international market, what is that? What are the organizational resources we have right now? Is our HR department, they may say they're great, but maybe they're really not very good. We need to up that game there. How aggressive are we with attacking new markets and things like that? What's our market share? What are our sales trends? Are we going down or going up? And what are the industry characteristics? What's changed in our industry? These are examples of company analysis. Product history would be something along the lines of whatever product or service that we're doing, what's going on? So what are the problems? What are the successes or failures in the past? Budgets, financial statements currently, and what have we been spending in media over the past? We've seen a lot of change now from, I drove across the US this summer. There was a lot of billboards that were billboard advertisements for advertising on billboards because people don't advertise in billboards anymore. A lot of that money has moved into social media and into online advertising. That's an example of that. Product history would also include things like what's our quality level? How is it differentiated from others? What aspects comprise the total product that we're trying to sell? Histories, additions, it's deletions, warranties, guarantees. Do we set ourselves apart? There's some car companies that do a really good job with warranties, others that don't. Distribution efforts and effectiveness. We try to spread it out. Maybe we're using less than optimal vendors that are helping us to be able to distribute things. And what kind of perception is there about our company? These are things we need to ask honest answers about. We have different ways of classifying. One is by ownership, so it's independent, chain, a franchise, and cooperative. Advantages of independence are shown in the book. Disadvantages are also shown in the book. So if I'm running it myself, one example of an advantage would be I can really respond quickly with consumers, but the disadvantage would maybe be I don't have any advantage of scale. There's no economy of scale there. Chain stores. Advantage example here would be, for one, cost reductions through economies of scale. On the other hand, I may have higher costs just because it's run as a chain. Franchises, smaller capital outlay. I can buy a franchise for a McDonald's. It's maybe smaller than if I try to start my own restaurant. On the other hand, I may have other problems with that. Cooperatives. These would be things like, trying to think, a couple of cooperatives would be offhand, but some stores like Ace Hardware and things like that may be examples of cooperatives. And in this case, there's different ways of doing it. There would be retail, wholesale, or consumer-oriented. Classification by strategy. This is what you're going to be actually doing in your research paper. So department stores, discount stores, specialty stores, off-price retailers, food retailers would be examples of different strategies that would be pursued. Examples of department stores with a lot of breadth, a lot of depth, a lot of consumer service, departments broken up inside the store. They use a lot of the communication, but there's a lot of competition also today with these kind of stores. Discount stores, not much consumer service, lower prices, lower prices every day, right? Merchandise viewed as less fashionable, so kind of crappy junk, Chinese junk. That's not always true, but that's the perception. And a lot of volume, but low cost. Specialty, very few products, very few lines, but maybe a lot of cost. It's expensive. They're really looking for people with a lot of money, not necessarily brains, right? Just saying that. And then usually a lot of customer service, and those are examples of that. Off-price retailer, everyday low prices, not a lot of consumer services, and it's a department store with less cost than a department store. food retailers. These are really things like supermarkets, superstores, combination stores, hypermarkets, warehouse clubs, convenience stores, and they get you into that one-stop convenience. So we got different aspects of that as well. Very blurred. I can go into Kroger store, which is a food store, but I can buy furniture for out in my deck, that sort of thing. Classification by census. So the way that the things are broken down would be something like what kind of codes are we using to be able to break down what type of store, what type of retail establishment you have. And then using like NAICS, you can actually see what kind of number you fall under, and be able to now compare yourself with others. These are the examples of NAICS scores and NAICS codes. And then we've got also classification by channel. So things like brick and mortar, non-store retailers, bricks and clicks. All these things are covered in your book at greater length. We've talked about them in the past. I wish you all the best on this week's studies.